Okay, so we're gonna go over infusion rates now, which I think is pretty fun. I enjoy it. So there's pretty much a couple ways to do this. Your book shows one way, which kind of gives you like a formula to plug your numbers in. And then there's another way that I do it, so I'll show you all that way as well. I do not care which way you guys do it, as long as you guys show your work on test or quiz on how you got your answer. Whichever way is more comfortable for you guys. If you've already done it one way, that's completely separate from these two ways, that's fine as well. I just want to see your work on how you figured out what you got your answer to be. So I don't expect you to change up all your math if you already have a system that's good for you. But I'm just going to go over all the ways that I know how to do it. That way you have a couple options. So I'm going to go over the way that the book shows you how to do it first. That way you can kind of go through that first. Then I'll show you the way that I do it. I'm going to do the examples in the book, that way you guys can follow through with it. And then if you guys have any questions, later on, just let me know. So in your book, let's just start off with the super easy ones. So it says you have a 55-pound dog, and your veterinarian asks for a fluid rate of 5 mils per kg per hour. And so what your job is to get the infusion rate to figure out the mils per hour. So that's what we are trying to figure out. So in your book, it gives you a formula, and this is the formula. So it's weight, and then your kg to pound conversion. So your kg over pound, and then multiplied over your mils, kg per hour, and that equals your answer. All right, so if we plug in this info into this conversion, it's going to be 55 pounds times 1 kg, 2.2 pounds times 5 mils over 1 kg, 1 hour. And then what you're going to do when you get to this point is you're going to multiply 5 times 1 times 55. So we'll start with that first. So pretty much 55 times 5, because that one's not going to do anything. So 55 times 5, that's going to equal 275. And you're going to divide that by this 2.2. So 2.2 times 1, that one's not going to do anything. So divided by 2.2. And that equals 125. So your answer to this question is 125 mils per hour. So you have your formula. You put in the information you have. Remember, this is always going to be the same right here. Your kg to pound ratio. So 1 kg, 2.2 pound. That's always going to be the same. So pretty much what you're always entering is your weight, and then your mils and kgs. So whatever mils it is, and then your kgs per hour. This was just 1 kgs, 1 hour. And then you're just multiplying the top, and then dividing by this bottom section right here. It's going to give you that number right there. Okay? So that is one way to do it. And then I will show you the way that I do it. And we'll do a couple other examples. So the way I do it, I just go through 3 steps pretty much. Going back to when we did the drug calculations. First step is going to be your pounds to kgs again. So 55 divided by 2.2. That equals 25. So that's my first step. My second step is going to multiply my kgs times my mils. So right here. Because if you look at this formula right here, this is pretty much saying that for every kg, there's going to be 5 mils. So we know we need to multiply this 25 times 5. And that'll give you, so your answer again is 125 mils per hour. So that's the more simplified version. That's the way I do it when it comes to simple formulas. When we get to more like drip rates, I do like using the formula, but when it comes to something simple like this, I prefer to do it this way. Let's do another one. So again, let's do the one in the book, that way we just kind of can follow it together. So in the book it says you have a 12-pound cat and the doctor orders 55 mils per kg, but she wants you to give a quarter dose rapidly. Okay? And you're just trying to figure out how many mils you're going to give rapidly is the answer we're trying to get. So if we're using that formula again, it's the weight times the kgs over the pound times the mils over the kg for this one, because we don't have the hour on this one, we just have the kgs. And then for this one, we have to add in that quarter dose. Okay, so it's pretty much the same formula. We still have the weight, we have the pounds to kgs, we have the mils per kg, but we don't have the hour because we didn't add that. And we're just adding in this quarter dose right here. So let's plug everything in. So 12 pounds, 1 kg, 2.2 pounds, 55 mils, 1 kg, times 1/4. So again, you're going to multiply this top part, so 55 times 1 times 12. So 55 times 12. Oops. $660 divided by 2.2. That equals 300. But you're going to multiply that by the quarter dose. And that will give you 75 mils. So you're going to give this patient 75 mils of fluid rapidly. So once you put everything into your formula, you do your 55 times 12, that's 660. You divide it by 2.2, it gets you 300. And then I just multiplied that by, I did 0.25, because I don't have a fancy calculator, but a quarter is 0.25. So I multiplied that by 0.25, and it gave you 75 mils. So we're going to be giving that cat 75 mils of fluid rapidly. So that's one way to do it. And then we'll go over the other way to do it. So other way, pound to kg, so 12 divided by 2.2. It's going to be 5.45. I'm going to do 5.45 times 55. It's going to get me 300. And then I have to do 300 times 1/4 or 0.25. And again, that's going to be 75 mils. Okay? So both will give you the same answer. It's just whatever way you want to do it. All right? So those are kind of the easier infusion rates. So let's kind of go to drip rates now. Those are kind of a little harder. And that's where I'm kind of back off those easier steps and say the formulas are going to be a little better way to go for those. So we'll go over those. So when it comes to drip rates, and more importantly, drip sets. So there's 2 drip sets. There's a macro and a micro. The macro is going to be for rates that are greater than 100 mils per hour, and the micro are going to be for less than 100 mils per hour. Your macro can either come in 10 or 15 drops, and your micro is usually going to be in 60, all right, per mil. Okay, so that's really, really important to remember, okay, because if you're in a hospital and they tell you, okay, we have a patient, they're getting so many mils, you need to decide which drip set you need to get. Some hospitals only have one type of drip sets. That's just what they go with no matter what. But other hospitals have different sets and you have to decide which one you want to get. So that's just something to always remember. So let's use the patient from the very first example that we had. That patient was getting 125 mils per hour. So they would be getting a macro drip set because it's greater than 100 mils per hour. Okay. If we're talking about this cat at the bottom, let's say they were just getting 55 mils per hour, they'd be getting a micro drip set. So just always remember that, okay? So let's figure out some drop rates. So again, using the 125 mils per hour. So like we said, we're going to use a macro drop set. And let's just say we're going to use 15 drops per mil set. It's a macro. All right. And we need to figure out how many drops per minute we are going to be giving this patient, okay? So the formula that they give you in your book, I really think is a pretty good formula. I think it's a lot easier than trying to do this in the simple steps because there's no KIGS up here. There's not a simple way to convert things. So I think the formula in your book is a pretty easy way to go. So the formula in the book is mil per hour times your hour over 60 minutes times your drops over mils, and that will get you your drops over minutes. Okay, so let's plug that in. So 125 mils per hour. This one's always going to stay the same, 1 hour over 60 minutes. 15 drops per 1 mil. All right, and then again, you're gonna multiply this top area. So 125 times 15 divided by 60. It gives you 31.25, so I would round that to about 31 drops per minute. So that would be your thing. Again, let me just write it out for y'all. 125 times 15. So this top one was 1875, and I divided that by 60, and that gave me 31. Okay. So again, I do think this is a good formula when it comes to drip rates, because drip rates can start getting really confusing because it's a lot of numbers. So definitely would recommend the formula for that. Okay, so that's that. We can do one more if you want. It's not in the book, but we can give it a try. Just gonna keep the formula up there. Let's say, let's do, I don't know, what do you want to do? 75 mils an hour. That's less than, so we'd be using a micro drip set, okay? So 75 mils per hour times 1 hour over 60 minutes times 60 drops per 1 mil. All right, so again, multiplying the top, 75 times 60, that's 4,500 divided by 60, getting 75 drops per minute. All right. You can see this one has more drops per mil, so kind of makes sense. So easy peasy. So let's go back to that 31 drops per minute. And let's say we want to know how many drops per second. So pretty easy. We just divide by 60 because there's 60 seconds in a minute. So 31 divided by 60. So there would be 0.5 drops in every second. Let's say we want to know how many drops per 10 second. So we know how many drops we have per second. So now whatever we want to know per, like how many seconds, we just take that 0.5 and multiply for how many seconds we want to know. So if we want to know for 10 seconds, we just multiply that by 10. It'd be 5. 5 drops per 10 seconds. Okay? And you can do 30 seconds. Zero 0.5 times 30 seconds. 15. 15 drops every 30 seconds. So you can really start breaking it down once you have what you have for your minute. You can break it down to seconds, and you can break that seconds to however much farther you want to go to. So, all right, so y'all can practice that. Let me know if you have any questions. And y'all can decide if y'all want to, go with the formulas and the books for all of them, if that's a little easier. Whatever is going to work for you guys. But like I said, just always show your work on all your problems. If you don't show your work, you just write a number. I'm not going to count the credit. So just show me how you guys got your answers. As long as it's come some kind of logical way, I'll probably, let you have it. But yeah, thank you guys.